I watched a document where the interviewer went into prisons, the U.S. prisons, and talked to prisoners how they are so, how can I say, they're mistreated. Ooh, you better be thankful you're not in Deadman Wonderland. Deadman Wonderland is how could I put this? It's a mystery, gory anime. I could also put superpowers too if I like, because there's some people who have superpowers on here. But there we have our main character, Ganta. You can put, like, this wimpy kid with emo kind of character, or wimpy and kind of just has I have my moments where I become a badass, or I want to stand up kind of feel to it. And it kind of killed me how they use him in those kind of moments. I can understand the beginning of it but let's go on. Ganta basically lives a normal life. And then one day, when he decides to go to school, all the kids in his class get slaughtered by a mystery guy in a cloak with a helmet on. And that guy left him alive with bruises. And that's it, just bruises. And all of a sudden gives him superpowers. Yeah. That's good. Which, in my opinion, is, for what it is, I'm glad. I would say, even without the superpowers, it's good. But the plot is, how could I say, when I got to the end, it's only at 13 episodes anime, and it does good as it looks great. For how much it gives and how much it does, it gives it great. It's just the story. Like, some of the characters, you're like, really? They're like, let's say, like, they give you threads, and you get threads, you keep following the threads, and then all of a sudden, the threads all scatter, like, there's nothing that's holding the plot, or, like, they just leave you there. Well, like, okay, is there more, or just a giant gaping hole where there's nothing that goes off of it? There's so much holes and stuff that they just leave it. And the ending, it just comes. It comes out of nowhere. Like, they'll have every episode they have somewhat of a reveal, and that comes regular, and that's how they did on the last episode. It's just a reveal, and you're like, okay. And then it ends, and you're like, what? And I do like the characters. Gante, let's talk about Gante. He's the wimpy character, and I can understand. If I was put in that situation, I'd be like Gante. No offense, I'd be him. Because Deadman Wonderland, he's basically thrown into prison, and you're playing games for other people's amusement to the death. Yeah, there is some crazy amounts, like track, think of running on a track, but with blades, pendulum blades, swinging back and forth, while you're also, there is some, while you're trying to dodge them, while others are trying to knock you over, knock you out, and if you get knocked off the course, let's just say you will get shot in a second, or splits. Hey. And you're like, oh, but I don't have to join these competitions. Well, you're gonna have to. They put you on a little collar that pumps poison in you, and if you don't do it for, I think it was, if you don't do it, have a candy in 48 hours, let's just say you die, and you die real fast. But Gunter needs to kind of, how they play, it's kind of weird how they play him, and I wish they'd done it a lot better. Like in the first series, like I told you, he's this wimpy kid. He's mentally broken. I can understand that. And like, there's sometimes where he goes in and he's like, that character's like, I have to have this moment. And that he's like a character he develops, and you're like, yes. And then he comes in and the next episode, he's back to where he was, and I'm like, why? Why do you have to be that way? And gosh, it's just like, why? And you know, the other character, I like Shuro. Yeah, she has that hopping personality to jump everywhere. Think of, you know how like that, how the show is dark. Think of that. She's the opposite of that. She's this hyperactive. She's that. But the funny thing is, she's super strong. Yes, it's kind of like what? But she's crazy. She's hyper. She jumps. She's all over the wall basically. And you know what? I think she's fine being there. Because really, she doesn't have a color. She's not a president. You find out why she's there. But it's, I think she's on a good balance for the show. And I'm glad she's there. I do kind of hate the thing at the end, and that's a whole different story. It's just, jeez. But, really, now the sound. Oh. Let's just say, if I could find a cheap, or if I could find a soundtrack that, like, if I could buy the whole soundtrack somewhere, and if someone finds it, please give me a link. I would love to get that soundtrack, because, soundtrack, holy crap. The soundtrack is good. I'm not saying it's, like, the best, like, I have to get. It's one of those where you can sit there and in a car, and you can start just going, like, yeah, wow. Just start yelling and everything in your car, and the person next to you like, what is going on in there? It's one of those songs, the whole soundtrack's like building you up, like just so it's one of those you can sit there and just listen to and get hyped for. And not even mentioning the opening, holy crap, that one's good too. And I'm glad that they play, because if you're going to listen to the soundtrack to the show, it's probably the first time and maybe the only time you're going to hear it for the whole series. They might play a couple once or twice, and that is it. They play it good. Like how could I say? They play at moments where it feels like they might be the same track, but they're not. Or the same song, but they're not. It's good, and you have the same feels to it too, which I'm glad to do this. Jeez. I forgot to mention the airs. These aired on April 17, 2011, and in July 3rd, 2011. And it was pretty much published by a lot of companies that I will probably botch if I pronounce them, so I will probably put them in the description, or, you know what, I'll just say right here, a Kanawa short Kanawa pictured Japan, and Kuoka Warriors, and AMG Music, and it was licensed by Funimation. But there is a manga of it if you want to go read it, because you'll get more of that. Because telling right now, more like it later be second season. It didn't sell so well over in Japan. It sold great, like it had a high population here in the West. But where it starts, if it doesn't do well where it starts, it doesn't go. It just dies there. It might sell well good in Japan and the West, but if it doesn't sell well in Japan, fuck it. I'm sorry to say it, but that's how it is over there, I guess. But for me, I really don't want to give this an average rating, and a lot of it, I give this, you know what, I'll give it a 6. I can't give it any higher. I feel a 6. It's above average, but what kills it's kind of the plot and other characters. Like, a lot of it's just like characters get a little background, and then one guy gets an OVA. That's really all. Because the OVA doesn't count, it's an OVA. But how I feel, it just really just doesn't do it for me. because at the beginning it does really good. It's just the ending kind of just tugs slowly, and just without a second season to continue, it really kind of leaves a giant hole for me. So I hope you guys will like watching this. If you go watch it, and for me, I watched it, I was okay with it, but I'll see you guys later.